people, welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Kate Pettiette, and first of all, let me just say, I know I missed 2 episodes last week, but since I only did a Marvel Monday last week, and I'm doing a Top 10 Tuesday and a Random Fandom Friday this week, technically that's a whole week. So, essentially, I did not miss any weeks. Logically. So, anyway, we have here a special guest, my father. You may remember him from the top 5 Marvel characters of all time. And we're gonna do something very similar to that for this episode. And yet very different, because today we are going to present our personal top 5 favorite DC characters of all time. So yeah, for me, it's very different because I have not been into DC for as long as I've been into Marvel. I have way more Marvel comics that I personally own, and I've just read more Marvel stuff. I watch more Marvel stuff because the Marvel stuff is usually better watching wise, not like reading. And it's also like very different. It's just very different criteria. And honestly, my number 5 is a little iffy, but go with it. You want to go first?
You go ahead.
You let me go first last time. You should go first this time.
You go ahead.
Okay. Again, it's kind of iffy, but I have seen this character in multiple different iterations, like TV, comics, that kind of thing. And they've also been different people, but every time, I've liked them a lot. And the only, that's why it's iffy, because I just don't, I'm not, okay, let me just say it. I'm gonna call my number 5 any version of Kid Flash. Any version of Kid Flash. This particular version, I think, is Bart Allen. But yeah, basically it's Baby Flash, and it's the ones I've seen have either been Wally West or Bart Allen. And so this is kind of, it's at the bottom because I don't know much about him, and it's not really a concrete, Wally West Kid Flash or Bart Allen Kid Flash. It's just that every time I've seen him, he's been like, it's like, speedsters kind of have a type of personality. They're always funny. They're always like quippy and jokey. Usually, I haven't seen a speedster who isn't. And like Quicksilver's kind of quippy. He's more like sarcastic and cool, like funny.
Dead.
He's dead. Is he dead in the comics? Has he died in the comics? Okay. But like, it makes the most sense for Kid Flash because he's a teenager. And it's like, sometimes with the Flash, like a 40-year-old, probably older man running around, like, being funny. Not that they can't be funny, I'm just saying. It's just like, it makes the most sense. The personality of the goofy speedster makes the most sense in like a teenage boy. And so his powers fit his personality very well, and every time I see him, he's just like lots of fun, and I just like super speed a lot, and it's just his, the power and the personality are both just like simply enjoyable to read. And like, especially since DC is a lot more heavy, even like in the young here, like sometimes even especially because they're so young, they can be very dark and stuff. But just, Kid Flash has always been fun and just a goofy dude who runs and speedy, quick. So yeah, this is my number 5.
Yeah, in that particular series, I think that's early 2000 when I bought that. It's Bart Allen from the future, and it had a really good part in one of those books where everybody was calling him dumb.
Yeah.
So he just goes to a library and speed reads every book.
Right, yep.
I always really liked that.
And before he did that, he was like Impulse.
Yeah.
And then he was like, now I'm Kid Flash. That's I'm mature. I'm smart now. Yeah.
And I really like your point that all teenage boys are idiots. That's a fair point. Yeah. If you're a teenage boy and you're listening, you just know what I think of you instantly. So, my number 5, tough list for me, because while my top 2 could easily be my top two heroes of all time in any list. My 5 through 3 were a little difficult to compile, so I went outside the box a little bit. Superman, uh, yeah, Superman number 5. Never been a fan.
Wow.
Only made the list because I love his origin.
Mm.
I think he has a wonderful origin. I think the Superman movie with Cavill, I think that did the best.
Man of Steel?
Yeah, that did the best film version of the origin ever. It was amazing. And then, so that's the Superman I want, just the troubled alien trying to fit in with the Kansas values, trying to honor his father and mother from 2 different planets. And then, but I also really like Superman just truly being super powered.
Yeah.
And him having to deal with that in other settings. Like Batman's trying to, look at a crime scene and Superman just knocks down a wall accidentally. And so, yeah, Superman number 5.
That's good. It's interesting that you don't like him because I feel like he has very similar personality to like Cyclops because they're both so like good boy.
Yeah, I like that Superman. He's really been damaged in the last 20 years.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like 90s Superman, I can go all day long. Death of Superman was one of the greatest graphic novels I'd ever read for a long time. But yeah, I'd say in the last 25 years, they've really damaged Superman.
Yeah, because that's if you have a character that's like that, that's just like a good guy.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of superheroes like that. They're all like angsty and.
Well, and I mean, that could be said for a lot of superheroes because in the 80s everything was still new.
Yeah.
And now we're 60, 70 years into Superman, you run out of things to say, I guess.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, it's my turn. So this is another one. I don't personally own any of their comics. I've just read some, seen a lot about him. I know that he's he's a big, like, I know he's like an important character, I guess. Kind of. There's a word, I'm not getting it, but it is a Robin, and I think you will agree with which Robin it is. Because my number 4 is Tim Drake.
Love Tim Drake.
The Robin.
Big fan.
So, you can't see his face. There it is. I hope Starfire wasn't in that picture. Okay. So, yeah. So I've gotten really into like all of the Robins kind of thing. I just think it's just a lot of fun. There have been a lot of Robins. Batman endangers kids all the time. He loves it. The newest Robin, I don't even think you know about this, is a little Asian girl named Maps.
Didn't know it. Yeah, well.
She looks cute, but...
Girl Robins always die. That's actually a fact.
I was going to say did Carrie Kelly, but she wasn't main universe. Okay. So the reason we chose Tim Drake, you have Dick Grayson, who I feel like we'll probably come back to later on. But, so, the original Robin, and he was a good Robin, but he's a better Nightwing, And then you have Jason Todd, who is a whole deal. I don't think he was so angsty, he wasn't really great at it, and now he's like his whole character's angst. So, then you have Stephanie Brown, who was like Batgirl, spoiler, and Robin, and then she became Robin and like got fired and then died. So like, And then you have Damian Wayne, who apparently we hate. I don't know why we hate him, but
I don't think I hate him. I don't mind the story. I just think I have a high standard for Robin, and I don't think Damian meets it.
Damian is a very alt Robin. He's not what
it's just that progression, man.
Right.
You're 60 years into a character, and it's like, oh, how about we do this? And,
how about we make it a little Asian girl named Maps? But yeah, but Tim came right in the middle, and the special thing about him is he became Robin because he found out, or Big Brain found out that Bruce Wayne was Batman, and so he decided that Bruce was getting too dark. He was getting a little too heavy on the criminals without a Robin. He was like, you need a Robin to help you take it back down, chill out, and cut not be all I don't know. It's just like get a little lighter, just like calm down a little bit. So he became Robin, and he's just like, everything you expect from like the character of Robin is like he does it very well. You expect Robin to be very smart. Tim is a genius. He's like, I mean, he figured out Bruce Wayne's Batman, but he's incredibly smart. He's like, quick, agile. He flippy flips, maybe a little bit less than Dick, but
Definitely.
well, yeah, Dick is all about the flippy flips. But he's still, uh, what's the word? Capable in that scenario. He knows his way around stuff and being a superhero. He's just good at it. He was just a good fit as a guy. And he's like, he's just, as far as his personality goes, he seems to be like a very genuinely good person. He's like a nice kid. He's like, I bet adults like talking to him because he's just a nice kid. He's smart. He's cares about doing good, and he uh, kept Batman from going to the dark side. So he is, I think, the best Robin that we've had. Who knows? Little Asian Girl could be great, but
Yeah, two notes on Tim. If you want a good semi-modern story, read Red Robin. It's a good trade. I've got a couple of them where Tim is kind of graduating into, the 20-year-old Robin. A lot of ties to future events there too. Red Robin plays a lot of the ties into a series called Kingdom Come. So it's kind of funny that he's morphing into it, even though that future was very bad.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the origins of the Robins used to matter. I don't know what they are now. But so Dick was an orphan, which Bruce is an orphan, so that really stands out. And then Jason was stealing
the tires.
So he's that kind of shows you where he's headed. And then Tim uses his detective skills to determine who Batman is. And Batman has always seen him as the next world's greatest detective, if Batman is the world's greatest detective. So that's kind of Tim's sweet spot there.
Yeah, and I was watching like a video about all the Robins, and it got to Tim, and it was like, blah blah blah. This is how he became Robin, and he didn't have dead parents until his parents died because he was Robin.
I have those. I have those comics. It's very tough.
Yeah.
Dad does. So my number 4 had to think outside the box, but mainly because of about 4 or 5 trades back in the early 2000s. But it's Green Lantern.
Oh snap! I know
Hal
nothing.
Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
Which one is that?
Hal was the test pilot, the original.
So he's
Green
not
Lantern.
the jerk one.
No,
and he's not the black
Gardner.
one.
Yeah, that's different guy. So Hal was always Green Lantern, and then they killed him off. They turned him into a bad guy and killed him off in the 90s. And it was one of the first fan revolt things where they had full page ads in comic books from the fans saying, "Bring Hal Jordan back. You should not have killed him. It wasn't right." And so it lasts a long time where they didn't. And then they have Green Lantern Rebirth where Hal actually comes back. And what that spawned was all the colors playing a part. So the yellow lanterns were fear. Red was rage. That all started with Green Lantern coming back. But so that series really kind of made me dig Green Lantern. And then just the idea of your superpowers controlled by your will. So as long as you have a strong enough will, you can create anything with this ring and help people. And that's Hal's deal. He's fearless and he has this strong will, so he will always fight to the end. His ring will always be able to produce because he just he has this will. So that's fun, and you can do so many things with him. So.
I don't know a lot about Green Lantern. I kind of wish that I was around when that era of fans actually doing
it was
that
wild.
Stuff.
Yeah, it would because I remember reading comic books in the 90s, and you would see this full page ad and it had Hal flying, and it was like, "Bring Hal back," and I was like, "This is a weird ad for a comic book." And you don't learn until later that they were actually fighting for Hal because not Guy Gardner,
John Stewart,
not John Stewart, the other one, Kyle Rayner, I think.
Another one.
Kyle was the 90s Green Lantern, and he was pure 90s. I mean, just the mask, the suit. It was just and people were like, we don't want this.
Yeah.
So,
fun fact, actually, very annoying fact. They have a new Green Lantern, a 12-year-old black girl, who calls herself Teen Lantern.
There you go.
And her origin is that she found the ring.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, again, content is dead. Anyway.
Alright. I've been on quite a journey with my number 3. Started liking her when I was a wee little one, for a very basic reason.
That's true.
And I've gone through quite a journey of like, oh, she's actually kind of lame. And now I'm like, wait, she's actually pretty cool. Because my number 3 is Catwoman. Can I just, like, point out just real quick, just in this specific book, I know some of you don't have video, so I'm sorry you're not going to get to enjoy this, but I love this page so much. Like, it looks awesome.
It looks like you.
So, anyway, I, like, when I was little, I was like, cat. Yay. Like, literally, I was just like, it's a woman who's, like, cat things. And I was like, that's great. Favorite character. A+ character right there. And then, when I got a little bit older and started learning about the character, I was kind of like, oh, she's kind of like... I was like, does she really do anything, or is she just like Batman's love interest who just kind of sits there and is like weird and kind of creepy and just kind of a weird lady? Like that Batman movie that we watched. It's just like, yeah, just kind of a weirdo. And then, but now I know I've seen more things about her, and I'm starting to get more of a sense of like her personality and her character. So, you know, Selena is like, she's just very, she's not like creepy. She's just, very like looking out for number one type of personality. She's like very reliant.
Selfish.
Well, yes, because she's a thief, but like.
Keep talking.
Okay. But so she's just very like self-reliant. She's very cunning. She's like she's a really good thief, which I know is not a great thing, but I mean, you know, you can be good at what you do, and she's a thief, and she's really good at that. And you know, I mean, her thing with Batman, it's not the worst. It's interesting sometimes, and I don't know. I don't think it's. I don't like it. I'm just saying it's interesting.
Are they married?
Are they?
I mean, I know years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, there was this huge book about them getting married.
That's crazy. But, like, it's just, she's so interesting because she's, like, she just seems like such a different kind of character. Like,
yeah. Just troubled girl, hates men.
She doesn't hate men. Well, I mean, she might hate men, but she's just really cool. She's just, like, very, you know, I don't know, Slytherin
How's
type.
that book?
This book is really good.
Okay. It's hard to find new good books, man.
Yeah, this is 2019.
So is she normal Catwoman, or is she superpower Catwoman? Like,
she is just going around stealing stuff.
Okay.
So.
Because I have an old book where Poison Ivy kind of enhanced her powers.
I mean, she has some powers, but like, she has jumpy powers.
Yeah, she does. All right, my number 3 is a lady as well.
No.
Yeah, put a lot of thought into it.
Wow.
Oracle.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Man, you really do like her. I
could have done top 5 Bat characters, but I tried
Bat family.
I tried to think outside the box for you, but Oracle's got to be on the list. For those of you who don't know, I own an original copy of The Killing Joke, which is where Joker shoots Batgirl in the stomach and paralyzes her.
That's what happens? I never knew what happened to her. Get her in the wheelchair.
Real tough book. It's implied that he raped her as well.
Golly.
Joker is not positive.
No.
Any movie or any comic book that makes you think otherwise is garbage. Joker is a psychopath who does wicked, horrible things, and that's always the way it was written. He's the opposite of Batman. But anyway, I have this argument with people in my own family. But so Batgirl gets confined to a wheelchair, and then somewhere around there, maybe 80s, she becomes Oracle, and she becomes Batman's eyes and ears, and it just made so much sense. Like, how can he do the things he's doing without more information? So she provides that. She was always in his ear, She was the brains behind the operation, which spun off into Birds of Prey. She becomes Oracle for them. And again, it was just more of the same. Like, you couldn't beat Oracle. You couldn't out hack Oracle. You couldn't find where she was. She had it all. And I was really disappointed in the new 52. I think is when they brought her back
As
as
Batgirl?
Batgirl. I was a personal fan. What was the Batgirl that didn't speak?
Cassandra Cain?
Yeah, I was more of a Cassandra Cain Batgirl because she felt more like Batman.
Yeah.
And Oracle is just Oracle. She built Oracle for 3 decades, and then they just kind of went away. And I just thought it was cool for a lot of reasons, like the idea that she had this horrific moment in her life, but it didn't stop her, and that Batman has to have the eyes and ears behind him. So Oracle is my number 3.
Yep. See, Batgirl is very similar to Catwoman for me, where it's like I liked her for a long time because I was like, girl Batman, but I haven't looked into her enough. I need to know more, but she does seem really cool. So I should. All right. So, if you don't know about my number 2, you're probably gonna not, approve of things.
I know I sure don't.
Look, you need to know the things. She's reformed now. Yeah, she is. Okay, she's part of the Bat family, dude.
Nope, she's not.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But so my number 2 is a very complicated character. She's like, used to be a villain, very much a villain.
Used to be.
And now she's a hero, kind of anti-hero, I guess. And what are you doing? And she, I forgot about that. All right, so I'll just go ahead and say it. My number, what is this, 2? Is Harley Quinn. That's her in a nice little pirate outfit. Harleen Quinzel, whatever. But yeah, so this is definitely a newer, I like this character, because obviously she's, she was a bad guy. She was Joker's love interest. But like, and she was originally created for a TV show. And actually the first, like, that TV show that was on, like, was one of the things that, like, went a lot more into her backstory than, like, kind of all the comics were like, oh, she's crazy Joker girl. And then she got some more, like, this is what happened. And now she's, like, reformed and she's more of an anti-hero. She's still crazy, but she channels it correctly. This is my bat that I just got. It's Harley Quinn's bat from the Suicide Squad movie, which I haven't seen. I've heard bad things about it. But it's wonderful, and I love it, and I like holding it. It just feels good.
Right.
Yeah. And so Harley Quinn is just very interesting. It's like, it's just really interesting to see when somebody who is, like, mentally, like, changed and, like, has mental inclinations to do bad things, like, go good. But for her, they made it make sense because, like, with the Joker, if they try to do anything like that, it doesn't make sense.
No, they did.
What?
Yeah, they called him the White Knight, I think.
Yikes. Okay. But that wouldn't make sense because he just is he's just a crazy bad guy. But, like, for Harley, I like her whole backstory. The more you know about her, it's just, like, she's so interesting because she was his, whatever you want to call it, therapist. I don't know.
She was his therapist, yeah, Ark.
Yeah, and, like, she had some sort of, like, twisted attraction, and he used it, and he, like, changed her. He put her in a bunch of chemicals. Like, he literally changed her brain. And
you read my comic where they made the origin story?
I haven't.
No, I own it. You should read it.
I should.
I also still have those Batman DVDs from the animated series.
Oh, yeah. But, like, it's just, she's very interesting, and she's so cool as, like, an anti-hero. She's a lot like Deadpool. It's funny, though, because in like, being an anti-hero and being crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, like, she's, like, has this sort of thing where she has these, like, in, like, moments of, like, she has some sort of, like, morality, and it's, like, but she's still crazy. It's, like, she is very aware of, like, the right thing. She's just still figuring out how to do it the right way. but she's just like always. She's super fun, and I can say that now that she's good. And she's just like she is. It's so fun. She's so funny.
Yeah.
And but like, yeah, she's just an interesting character, and we love the design most of the time. Sometimes she's
Sometimes.
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
She's not.
I love that one of your favorite characters you can't watch the movie of.
Well, that's I
Like,
can't.
love them a lot, can't watch the movie.
Well, the movie's different.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, my number 2. That was your number 2, right? Okay. Everybody look at Kay's face. Okay, you look right at the camera. You ready?
Nope.
My number 2, Batman. Yeah.
2?
Yeah.
Dose?
Yeah. A little shocking, huh? Thought I'd go a little nuts for this one. A little wildness on the podcast. So, Batman is just one of my favorites of all time. One of the greatest superheroes ever. I love his brain. I love his origin story. I love everything about Batman. There's nothing I don't like about Batman except when the new people try to make him something he's not, because Batman is a tortured soul who loves justice and will never stop. He's not all the way right. He's certainly not all the way wrong, but he's singularly focused. And there's so many amazing Batman stories that just are perfect. They're perfect literature, I would say.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
You're going to get some backlash for that.
It's words on a page, man, that makes you dream and feel things.
Amen.
So, yeah, don't do that. So, Batman, yeah. Number 2, love everything about him. Could recommend all night long, but Nightfall is when Bane breaks his back and he has to question everything he knows. It's just a masterful story. Bane is smart, and Bane finally figures out that the way you beat Batman is not go head on head. If you go head to head with Batman, you lose. He will outthink you every time.
He's Batman.
So what he does, I don't know if you know the Nightfall story, but what he does is he literally throws every villain at Batman. Every villain, including the Joker. And it's just night after night of Batman having to stop Joker, Batman having to start from road. And Bane's behind it all. He's pushing these guys toward him. And then at the very end, he stops Joker from doing something horrible. And he's exhausted. And the artwork is beautiful. He's got a 5 o'clock shadow. Alfred's telling him, don't go out tonight. You're so tired. And he's like, they won't stop. I can't stop. And only then is when Bane strikes and he breaks his back. And he only breaks his back. He could have killed him. But he says, now I want you to live with this. I want you to live with this forever, knowing that I beat you. I broke you. And it's just, man, it was the perfect end of 30 years of Batman history. He just got too tired. And like, you know, even now it reads different for me. When you're a kid, you're like, oh no, Batman's hurt. When you're a 40-year-old man with 4 children and a 17-year-old daughter, you're just like, I know what it means to be tired, but you have to be fighting. But Nightfall, part 3 is what I showed you. It's when he comes back. He selects a predecessor, and the predecessor goes horribly wrong. And Azrael. Yeah. So Batman not only comes back to take his place back, but he has to take out his predecessor. And then he basically goes to Bane, and he's like, I'm rested now. You know you can't beat me. And Bane tries and fails miserably. Man, I could recommend Batman books all night long. If you ever need Batman recommendations about any stage or topic in your life, including steroid abuse, I got you. Yeah. Batman number 2, surprising my daughter.
I do believe that. I don't know where this is from, but like I've seen, and I don't know if it's you would consider accurate, but there was like some book where Batman was like looking like you. It was like a look into like Batman's mind, and his 3 biggest failures were highlighted, and it was like Jason Todd's death, Bane breaking his back, and Azrael. Yeah. So.
Because he always thinks he can reform someone. He it's funnily enough, as dark as he is, he believes in reform, criminal reform. I've got 3 graphic novels where he turns into a vampire.
Sorry. Okay.
It's pretty fun. Really dark, really gothic. If you want some gothic art.
Gothic.
Yeah, really hardcore. Gothic Gotham.
All right. I think for my number one, the way that I got into this character just shows how good of a character it is. It's not what you're thinking.
I mean, if that's who it is.
But literally, I just was in a bookstore one day. We were in the comic section, and I saw this, and I was like, I think I'll start reading some about this character.
Yeah.
And I literally did, and now he's my favorite character. It's like that. That should tell you how good of a character. Mr. Dick Grayson but specifically Nightwing.
There it is.
It's just there's something about like he's just so cool. He's just like, he's so different from Batman, but he's so good at being a superhero. They're both so good at being superheroes, but they're good for different reasons.
Right.
And he's way more like personable, like appealing, I guess, palatable maybe, because he's not all dark and broody. He's like a young guy. He's not like a kid anymore, but he's a young guy, and he's he's just like he has a very distinct personality, and it's like cool, and it's fun, and it's witty, and he like keeps that in his superhero ring, even though the whole DC universe is like dark and he has to deal with a bunch of dark stuff too. He's not dark. He's not like necessarily lighthearted. He's not like Flash. He's not Kid Flash or anything, but he's just so much more like, I don't know what's the word. He's just got a brighter, like more fun personality. And
vibrant.
Yeah, he's just so much more like, I mean, as a person, obviously. As a character, Batman's, like, people just know that Batman is awesome, but, like, as a human being, Dick Grayson is very likable.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, I don't know if it's a thing, but I've heard, like, it's a thing, like, everybody kind of likes Dick.
Yeah, sure.
Like, even Superman likes Dick. He's just a cool dude,
So, there's a really famous run on Batman. It was a year-long run. I have all of them if you want to read them. But it was Jim Lee. He's a great artist. Great artist. The best Batman I've ever seen drawn. And when Nightwing comes into the picture in the arc, Batman's watching him take out some guys. Like, Batman jumps out of the car, and Dick jumps out before him and takes out the guys, and he's doing all the acrobatics and stuff. And Batman's watching him, and he's thinking. And he's like, Tim is a thinker, and at the time, Cassandra Cain was something. But Bruce says, Dick was just made for the stage. Like, he's made for the stage. He was made for this. He was born to be a hero, like, in a positive sense. Not the brooding Batman sense, but like the Superman, I love to help people, but I love life, and I love that I get to do this.
Like, for the people.
Yeah, so positive. That was always the happy father-son moment where Batman says, this is, he's better than me. He's better than me in every way. Which brings me to my number one. So if it's not Batman, Kate, who is it?
Who is it? I don't know.
You can have the talking stick.
Oh, I have the talking stick.
Who would it be?
Who would it be?
Who would it be?
Who would it be?
If it's not Batman.
If it's not Batman.
Because you knew it was Batman from the start.
I thought it was like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
My number one DC character is Nightwing.
We had the same number one for Marvel and DC.
I thought that I didn't know you were going to put him that high. So,
Who did you think?
I don't know. I would have thought Harley or Catwoman. Probably.
I get
that. So, and it's hilarious. This is why the podcast is fun, because Dick is not my favorite because of your reasons. I have my own reasons.
Yeah.
So whereas you see him as young and vibrant and fun, I see him as the adopted son trying to prove himself to the hard father.
Ooh.
Right? So when I was attracted to Nightwing, it was because I have daddy issues, and I had a hard father who I have worked my whole life to prove to that I'm worth it, or that I'm my own man, or all these things. So when I discovered Nightwing in the 90s, it was always, Batman's here and Nightwing's just trying his best. And, Nightwing might get here, but Batman always shows him, you're not the one.
Right.
And even in the 90s and now too, it's like very clear. It's like, look, Batman's our number one guy.
Sure.
He's going to make our money. We're going to write 50 Batman books. Nightwing, we'll give you one. But if they had that Nightwing book, like the first one when he goes to Bloodhaven, I bought every comic. Because even when he goes to Bloodhaven, Bloodhaven's not Gotham. And he was like, I'm going to make it in my own town. I'm going to be the hero that saves this town. And he joins the police force in that town, and because he wants to do good everywhere. So, yeah, all the backstory of Batman, all the, the heroics of Batman, but just a different vibe. So it's really funny to me. I'm really excited to hear that we like him for totally different reasons, because I see him as trying to climb a mountain that he'll never climb. And trying to make his father happy. So that being said, a little darker, my number one Robin story is from an old arc called Bruce Wayne Murderer.
Oh, sad.
And Bruce Wayne gets framed for murder. So what he does is he gives up being Bruce Wayne. He says, I've always been Batman. Bruce Wayne was the mask, so Bruce Wayne can rot in a jail cell. I'm going to be Batman forever. And Nightwing comes in, and Tim's there, and Alfred's there, and Nightwing challenges him, and he says, you have to be Bruce Wayne. He says, no, I don't. And he says, no, if you're not Bruce Wayne, then who's my adopted father? Who am I the adopted son of?
Oof.
And Batman is in a very dark place, like normal at the time. So they end up getting in a fight. And it's just that every son understands the idea of, I'm going to fight my father. And they get in this horrible fight, and everybody's shocked and can't believe it. And there's no clear winner. Batman just knocks him down and leaves after the fight. But at the end of the book, they resolve their differences. And Batman very poignantly looks at him and he says, hey, I'm sorry I hit you. You've always been my son. You'll always be my son. And it shows Alfred like in the back tearing up, like Bruce finally did the right thing and told Dick who he was. But so for me, it's the daddy stuff, and that Nightwing has always made his own way and stuff like that. Good series, Court of Owls. Some good Dick Grayson backstory there. And also Nightwing being Nightwing. But yeah, recommend the Bloodhaven run, and then Court of Owls. I heard recently that they tried to turn him into something completely different. Wasn't happy to hear that. He was like an FBI agent. He just gave up Nightwing altogether. That there's no way that worked. It'll never work. So, but one last thing on Nightwing. I was always really big in the idea of the next one up. So it made sense to me that Dick would take over the mantle of Batman. They let him do it a few times. Most recently, when Bruce Wayne died, there was actually a year where Dick was Nightwing. I'm sorry, Dick was Batman. And it was full-fledged. He's Batman now. And I've got the book. You should read it. But I think it's Two-Face. But someone sees a picture of Batman, and he knows it's not the original Batman. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? It's the suit. He's fighting the same. He's doing the thing. And he goes, I know. And he zooms into the picture, and Dick is smiling. And he says, Batman never smiles. That's exactly what you were talking about.
That's
he knew that it was different because this Batman would never smile. Batman would never enjoy soaring through the air.
Right, yeah.
But Dick did. And, that villain, I think it was Two-Face, he was just convinced that can't be the guy.
Yeah.
And it shows that little grin. So that was, personally, I think they should have just left it. I know they can't for money reasons, but I'm all for the next generation coming up. You're going to take my spot one day. Dick takes Bruce's spot. Ultimately, I think Tim would take the spot. Same thing with Barry Allen. Wally took his spot.
Wally did take his spot.
Then Bart should take his spot. I think that the superhero should retire with a wife and have children and mentor the next one.
All right.
Again, this doesn't work in comics. It doesn't work in movies. There is no money in it.
What about...
But in life, it's just, it makes sense that Bruce would settle down and become Oracle. And then Dick would...
Bruce?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bruce becomes the ears
and
the eyes. And then Dick becomes Batman. So, but it's never going to happen.
Hey, in the MCU, maybe it'll happen with Clint and Kate. Clint's got a great family.
Yeah. But I'm just saying money-wise. Everybody will always call back.
Yeah.
Because like the deal with Hal Jordan, right? Hal went away, and they tried to establish Kyle, and the fans just would not take it.
Right.
Would not take it.
It's so weird to, call someone who's not Bruce Wayne Batman. It's just...
Yeah, right.
It's just not what
so in my mind, it works.
Right.
But if you told me... And, I spent my money on the Dick Grayson as Batman year, so...
But, one thing with Nightwing, I was just thinking, like, I would just love to see him done really well in like a movie.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it'd be really hard to do. You'd have to do the Captain America take where they refuse to do this because it's just so hard. But the first movie has to be origin. The first movie has to be him coming up under Bruce. You have to spend an entire movie building the character, and nobody wants to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at the successful movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man first movie was basically origin.
Yeah.
Right. Captain America basically origin.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue even Thor. Whereas Green Lantern with
Ryan
Reynolds, not a bad movie, but one review I read about it was spot on. There's a scene, it's like 10 minutes on Oa where he's training to be Green Lantern, and he's training with all the guys that train Green Lantern, and it's perfect. It's him figuring out how to use the ring. And they said that should have been the entire movie, but they rushed it. And it's one of the reasons it's failed, because you're just jumping from arc to arc. And it's like, no, hour and a half of him on Oa trying to figure out how to use that ring.
Yeah, because like
that's the origin.
Yeah,
but
let people
know about Hollywood studios.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Thanks for making me think. Sorry for the curveball.
Yeah, big curveball. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end it. I think you people, I know that most of the people I'm talking to are, first of all, not huge into comics, but and if they are into superheroes, they're probably more like Marvel.
Yeah.
I'd say DC is just vastly different. It's just like the tone is way different.
Way darker.
It's like it's almost an odd sensation when I've been like reading a Marvel series and then I go and try to read like a DC series. I'm like, whew. Still superheroes, but
if Marvel ever thinks they're dark, DC did it first. DC figured out dark way before.
Right, but it's still like so good.
Well, like I said, it's good literature.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
It's just like it's so done well. So, I would encourage
to wrap up my portion.
Yes,
teenage boys are dumb, and comics are literature.
There you go. That's I mean, that's your like life philosophy. Well, but yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up. I highly just like check out some DC comics, the movies. Hit or miss with those.
If anybody wants to discuss the comics or literature thing, I'm available.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to challenge me like a teenage boy, whatever you want to do. Cool.
Yeah, I would also like to have that debate. Like, why I won't get into it. We're going long, but I could say many things. I could make a whole episode about it. But with that, we will go on or end or whatever. Make sure to follow, share, like if you're on YouTube Music or whatever. I don't even know if you can do that on YouTube Music. Comment, obviously, who's your favorite DC superhero. If you're familiar with DC, or just like if you're not, which one of the ones we told you about. Don't say Batman. Just kidding. You can say Batman. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Hope to have you back sometime. Probably about superheroes. And see you later.